As we head into the summer, I really don't believe Texas A&M has a quarterback battle.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So, ladies and gentlemen, earlier in the week, I said in a later segment of the show that I wanted to break this down to start the show one day this week. And today's that day. Is there a legit quarterback battle heading into the summer? And, I think there's a few reasons optically this matters. And first of all, the huge key for me the reason this is important is you have such a talented room top to bottom and you don't want to lose anybody. Now, obviously nobody can leave right now. People got to play out the season, but you don't want Jalen Henderson or Marcel Reed to hit the portal. You want those two guys to be part of you, especially Marcel Reed. Just because I think he's got a little bit more upside. I think both of these quarterbacks, whoever ends up being the backup, I think they are automatically one of the better backups in the SEC. Both, you got two of them. And I mean, they're interchangeable in that way that I think both of them are solid backups. But, I think that Conner Weigman is going to start for Texas A&M. And every day that goes by, I lose, I don't know if concerns or what. I lose, I think that it's locked in. He's going to start. I think that happens more. You hear more things. You see more things. You hear. I mean, programs like to brand their starting quarterback, and I think that Texas A&M is starting to brand Conner Weigman. Talked about that magazine having him with Quinn Ewers on the home screen or on the front page, and some might say that stuff doesn't matter. I think it does. I just think optically you brand your starting quarterback. Your starting quarterback more times than not, unless you have a edge rusher, it's going to be a top 5 pick, which I guess maybe Texas A&M does, but you see what I'm saying. I think you brand your quarterback, and I think that's what Texas A&M's doing. So I do think that stuff matters optically. I do think that it would be really weird if Conner Weigman didn't end up being your starting quarterback. I wouldn't say it's 100% locked in fact. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but I really do feel 95, maybe even 98% confident that not only is Conner Weigman going to start, but really I don't think there's much of a battle heading into the summer. And, I think as fans, I always jokingly say this, but I mean, everybody loves the backup quarterback because anytime anything goes wrong, and we all do this. I've been there. We've all been there. You say, oh, let's see what the backup can do. Everybody loves the backup quarterback. So people are going to want Marcel Reed and Jalen Henderson to have a fair shot. And now listen, when I'm saying that Conner Weigman's going to start, and I don't believe there's much of a battle, I don't think Coach Elko is going to come out and say anytime soon, hey, Conner Weigman's the starter. I mean, I haven't seen that listed anywhere. I don't think he's going to say that because competition is a good thing. So I don't think, once again, I want to reiterate that. I'm not saying that any day now Coach Elko is going to name Conner Weigman the starting quarterback. That's not going to happen. But I do believe that he is going to it's pretty set in stone. But I think that, and I said this last year when I felt pretty confident Conner Weigman was going to be the starter, healthy competition is good, not only for quarterbacks, for all positions. I mean, you should always in sports be looking over your shoulder, making sure that nobody is going to catch you. You don't want to let anybody catch you. You want to make sure that you are doing a really good job of working hard in practice every day, taking good reps, never taking a day of practice off. You always want to make sure that you are practicing as hard as you can. And I'm not saying that Conner Weigman will, oh, I'm the starter, no need to worry about any of this, who cares? He's a hard worker. That kid loves football. He wants to be back out there. He hated going down with the injury. He wants to be back on the field. So I'm not saying that even if Conner Weigman is named the starter tomorrow, let's say that were to happen, he's not going to, okay, well, whatever. Like, he's going to work his behind off. And I feel very confident in that. But I just think the key to me why this is important, some like, oh man, quarterback, whatever, we get it. I think that the reason this conversation is important is because in the new style of college football with the portal, you have to always make sure that you are recruiting your roster. You know, players like to hit the portal if they think they're buried. You got Longstreet coming in, you got a 5-star quarterback coming in. So if he ends up being as good as we think he can be, you're going to need somebody to, to bridge the gap between Conner Weigman probably moving on to the NFL at some point, either after this year or next year. And I think just based on upside, that's Marcel Reed. I know we've seen more of Henderson than Reed. We've seen one game from Reed. We've seen, 4 or 5 from Henderson, 3 or 4 or 5. But I'm just telling you, looking at this, you don't want to lose those guys to the portal, either of them. So making sure that you take care of your roster quarterback. Once again, on 3 ranked Texas A&M's quarterback room is one of the top quarterback rooms in college football for a reason, because it's a really solid room. You've got 3 guys who I think can start and win football games in this conference. So that's a luxury, especially knowing what Texas A&M has had issue-wise when it comes to continuous injuries to the quarterback position. It has been awful how much this team is always hurt when it comes to quarterback play. So, you just based off history of this program, you got to have that depth. You got to have those guys. And I think Texas A&M has them, but I don't believe that there's going to be a quarterback. I'm not trying to hate on Reed or Henderson. I love both of those guys' game. I think they're really good, solid quarterbacks. And let's say I'm wrong. Been wrong before. And one of these guys starts. I'm not going to be upset, because that simply means they outplayed Weigman. They're ready. And I know how talented both of those guys are. That's possible. But I really feel confident that Weigman's the guy. And, somebody commented yesterday, I don't know if it was a Texas A&M fan or a fan of the team, but making a solid argument of just like, I don't get the Weigman hype. I mean, I do get the Weigman hype. I mean, if you just watch him play, if you watch his footwork, if you watch him in the pocket, you can see he has all the intangible details it takes to be a solid quarterback. Last year, he was hurt. Before he got hurt, his numbers were great. I know it was Miami and then a bunch of not great teams, but, it's still, he showed in live football games, I can be really good. You really can't put that Miami loss on Weigman. I think you got to put it on the secondary. So, point here being, I think that Weigman is a really good quarterback. I think he's going to be dominant in this conference. I don't think he's going to have any issues adapting, back to being a starter. I think he's getting healthy. Coach Oko's made that very clear. He was fighting back from that injury, which that had me concerned. But then, a month ago, whatever, Coach Oko came out and said, yeah, he's getting there. He's almost 100%. He's feeling really good. And I'm like, okay, good. If he's almost feeling 100%, 4 or 5 months from the first kickoff of the year, I feel good about the future here. So I don't know if I'm buying how much of a quarterback battle Texas A&M has right now. Now, obviously, no one's going to get named. Obviously, I think they're going to play it out just to get the best out of everybody and hold on to everybody and give everyone a fair shot they deserve. But I don't know if I'm buying the fact that there's a legit competition. Now, yeah, coaches are paying attention. If Marcel Reed comes out and just lights the world on fire, you never know. Or same with Henderson. But when I look at this, I don't know if I'm a believer in there being a quarterback battle. So this is my question for y'all before we talk about something that's going to probably ruin everybody's day, and that's the offensive line. But no hype, none of this. Let me know in the YouTube comments. Do you truly, truly believe that there's a quarterback battle? Like, do you really think this is a battle? It's going to go down to the wire. It's anyone's game. Or do you think Conner Weigman, it's his job? Let me know that in the YouTube comments. And if you really, truly believe there's a battle, I'd be really curious why. So leave, a reasoning for me. I'd be really curious to hear y'all's thoughts on that. So let me know that I'd love to be convinced. So if you believe there is, let me know why in the YouTube comments. I would really appreciate and love to see some of that. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about the offensive line, which I'm sure is a stressful thing for many of you every day here at Locked On Aggies. We're going to talk about it. What do I think is going to happen? Obviously, it's all going to come down to this offensive line. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be serviceable? We'll have that conversation coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to go get a ticket to any event, ball game, comedy, a concert, music, festival, whatever it is. Whatever it is that you want a ticket to, the best place to get that ticket is Game Time, without a doubt, without any second thoughts. I love using Game Time. Every time I go to a baseball game, to a concert, I'm using Game Time. It's the best place to go get your tickets. Best deals. I love how you can see the seat in the venue before you go there, especially with sporting events. You love to be able to, okay, where am I sitting? Where's the field? Where's the ice? Where's the court? You want to be able to see that. And I like that you can see that on this app. It's really convenient, really easy to use, and they've got the best deals. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this offensive line. So, it's going to be hard for me to sit here and give y'all confidence in this offensive line and make everybody, head out of the house, go to work, whatever it is today, and go, man, Andrew's got me convinced this offensive line is going to be really good. I don't know if I can do that. I apologize. I wish I could. There are a lot of question marks for me. I have question marks at tackle. I think that on the interior, you're going to be fine. I think that Trey Zune's going to be fine. I really do. I think it's your other tackle, whether it's Fothery, is it Crownover, is it some of these other guys? There, you have a handful of names. I have a few depth concerns at tackle. I wouldn't say a ton. I would say a few depth concerns at tackle. Now, I do think you have guys like Basantis who can slip outside. He obviously played tackle last year. He can play inside or outside. You've got a few guys like that are flexible in the positions they play on the offensive line, which is very helpful. But, at the end of the day, this season, and maybe I'm overplaying the offensive line. I don't know. Once again, that's what I played, and the value of it when you're around it, when you're really around football. And I mean, if you don't have an offensive line, a serviceable offensive line, and I've made this very clear when I talked about, I think it was yesterday, right? That I said, yeah, yesterday I was talking about the what you'd have to do to make a college football playoff appearance. I talked about the offensive line has to be serviceable. And that's the funny reality of this. I don't think you need this offensive line to be one of the best groups in all of college football or the SEC. I think if you have a top half offensive line in the SEC, that you're going to be fine. You really are. I mean, I'm not asking for you to go from, offensive line, not great, not the worst thing ever, but not great, to the best offensive line in the world. I'm not asking for that. Asking for Conner Weigman to have some time in the pocket and you to create holes for your running backs. Simple as that. Two things. And, I do have the depth concerns at tackle, not as much on the interior, as I said, but I think that when you look at this unit, and I trust in Coach Cushing. I think that he's a really good offensive line coach. He's put players in the NFL. He's developed players. I think that he's going to be able to develop some of the talent in this offensive line. I do. I feel confident in that. But, is this group good enough? And once again, the sad reality is it's going to make or break this offense. You have to have a good offensive line to have a good offense. And I think that this offensive line ceiling is really good. You know what I mean? When I say really good, I mean there's levels. I think that elite, and then I think probably really good's below elite. I don't think they have an elite ceiling. I think they have a really good ceiling. And then I think they have a really bad floor. And they're going to fall somewhere in that grouping. You got to hope that they're good to really good. If they're either of those two in that, if it goes really bad, okay, good, really good, elite, if that's the scale, if you're anywhere from good to elite, I think this team can definitely win 8, potentially win 9 games. If you're really bad, I think that's when a 7-5 record comes into play. In it's just, you have to say, well, it's just one position. It's just the offensive line. Yeah, the offensive line, you can't get anything going on offense if your quarterback doesn't have time in the pocket and your running backs don't have holes to run through. That's just reality. You have to have a serviceable offensive line. And listen, there's some talented players. Armaj Reed Adams, I really like the transfer. Y'all know my opinions on Basantis. I think he's in for a good year. Mark Naboo, I think wherever he plays is going to be great. I think that going to get the Kali Fui transfer from Utah is massive. You got to go get him because with Bryce Foster leaving, that helps a ton. You got some young guys. You got Shanahan. What can he do? I think Trey Zune is in for a good season. I really do. I've seen him listed as one of the better returning tackles in the SEC. I think you have the pieces to do it. I think you have to put it together. You have to get a unit that you feel confident in. Now, while we talk about quarterback battle and not naming who the quarterback is for a while, offensive line, I think that getting this unit together sooner than later is a positive, because I think that it's a good thing to have your offensive line, a unit that's going to have some guys that obviously haven't played together. You're going to have a transfer mixed in there. You're going to have some young guys mixed in there. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces with this offensive line. So I think it'd be a really good thing to have this unit set. I don't know about necessarily in stone, but playing together for a long period of time, because that's part of the dynamic is learning your teammates on the offensive line. You have to be solid in that aspect. So, I definitely am concerned. I don't know how else to sugarcoat that. I don't know how to sit here. I can't sit here and say, yeah, this unit's going to be great. I think that they're going to be better than a lot of people, potentially even myself included, are giving them credit for. I don't think they're going to be awful. I think that the question is, are they going to be bad, good, or really good? I think they're going to fall somewhere in that scale. I don't think they're going to be elite. I don't think they're going to be really bad. I think they're going to be somewhere in that scale there. And I think that if they're in the good to really good range, that this team's going to be just fine. So, I see the concerns every day in the comments with the offensive line. I do. And listen, I am right there with you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm right there with you on that. So let me know in the YouTube comments if 10 is super confident and 0 is completely no confidence whatsoever. Let me know in the YouTube comments how you feel confidence-wise, 1 through 10, about this offensive line. I would say I probably feel a 5, right down the middle, a 5. I think that if you said 4, 5, or 6, that would all be fair answers. But let me know y'all's confidence level on this offensive line in the YouTube comments. All right, it's time to break down the Oregon Ducks and get ready for this Super Regional. We're going to have that conversation coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. So Oregon swept the UC Santa Barbara Regional, going 3-0. They only gave up 5 runs in those 3 games. You had a 5-4 win over San Diego to open the regional, then a 2-1 win over the hosts, UC Santa Barbara, and then a 3-0 win over UC Santa Barbara to sweep the regional 3-0, just as the Aggies did. And, you know, looking at this Oregon team, first of all, while Texas A&M is a better baseball team, Oregon's a good team. I wanted to do more research on them and on their players and on their numbers, and this is a solid baseball team. I believe they were 48-18 on the year. It's a good baseball team. Truly, this is a really good team. This is not, this is not a team that just, oh, whoops, we won a regional. It's not. You're not playing a team like that. This is a really good baseball team that has been in these positions before. They've had some recent success in the baseball field. So pitching wise, the team ERA is a 4.62. It's a fine number. It's not a terrible. I've seen better numbers this year in college baseball. I've seen a lot worse numbers this year in college baseball. You've got Grayson Grinsell, it looks like, is their dude. He has 16 appearances, 13 starts, 97 strikeouts in something like 75 innings. So he is a strikeout pitcher. A guy like that, my advice always is to hitters is, you're probably only going to get one pitch to hit. So be ready to hit it. Do not miss your pitch. Those strikeout guys, because it depends. Who is he? Is he a guy who's going to get to his off speed and spin one? Is he a guy who's going to flip you in the what do you call it? Flip you in some heaters and it's hard to get by? That is what you need to know. Is he a spin guy? Is he a fastball guy? If he's a blow up by you guy, I think that at times the blow up by you guys are easier to hit just because you're going to get something probably flat and something that you can get something behind. A good off-speed pitch, I think, is harder to hit, especially when you mix in a 93, 4, or whatever mile per hour fastball with it. So depends what type of pitcher he is, but a lot of strikeouts. Get your pitch, see it early, cut it in half. All of their starting main starters have a sub-5 ERA. So, Grinsell, his ERA, which I didn't write down, but it was like 3 point. It was sub-4. It was a really solid ERA. Their other 2 starters, their ERAs are in the mid 4s, 4, 5, whatever, around there. But this is unless they start somebody that they really haven't over the bulk of the year. But this is a really solid pitching staff. I mean, once again, the whole regional, they only gave up 4 runs because their offense only scored 10 runs. So, if you'd have told me, okay, a team scored 10 runs and you just said, do the Super Regional, I'd say probably not, unless their pitching staff only gives up 5. Then sure, yeah. So the pitching staff is pretty good. You got to know that. You got to be ready to hit the ball. Then at the plate, Jacob Walsh has 18 homers. You got Drew Smith with a 314 average. He's only hit 3 homers, though, so he's a get-on-base guy, not really a pounded over the fence guy. Then you got Maddox Maloney, who's batting 333 with 10 homers. So you got some guys who can hit the ball, and you got some guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark in this lineup. So, response to that is hit your corners, hit your spots. Don't miss spots. That's the reality here. If you miss spots, that's when balls leave the field. That's when you give up runs. So hit your spots, hit the corners. Don't put anything over the heart of the plate. Good off-speed pitches. I'm not really concerned about that with guys like Prager. I mean, you know who he is. So that's my thought here on this Oregon team. They're a solid baseball team. You're better than them. Beat them. It's simple reality here. They're coming to your place. They're coming all the way from Oregon. You are better than this team. This is a really solid baseball team. Truly, this is a really good baseball team. But you are better than this team. Show up, play well. Monty, stay hot. Jace, hit the ball well. You need your stars to show up. Prager, spin it well. You need your guys to play well, but Texas A&M is the better baseball team, and if they play like it, they should win this super regional and make yet another trip to Omaha. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. Really, really appreciate it. I hope everybody has an outstanding rest of their day today, and we will see you tomorrow.